August 2024. This is a continuation of a meeting that was starting this morning at 10 a.m. Our goal today is to get through all of our budget hearings. We've done JP2 yesterday, JP1 earlier this morning. So at this time, JP3, the Honorable Shannon Skilling, you're next up to bat. You can find Shannon's Judge Skilling's proposed budget on page 51 of proposed budget. How are you today, ma'am?
Good. Good morning.
Good morning. You got the floor.
We are easy. We don't need nothing. We're thankful and happy with what we got last year. So thank you for that. And I think the only thing that I'm gonna ask for is maybe a laptop, but that should all be within everything I have now. So.
Oh, awesome. Good deal.
Good.
I'll be so. Okay. Any questions for the judge? Guys, this is your opportunity.
All right.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Judge Jones, you can find Honorable Judge Jones, JP4 is on page 2. Yes,
Is there still something in the future about moving her office somewhere?
we have talked about that. So you remember there were some plans and it's still on the future. We just had to put the brakes on it for a bit. We are still looking at building an outpost at Penelope like we did at Huron. It's worked very well at Huron. We think it would work well at Penelope as well. The idea is ultimately to put a building over there that we could copy in precinct 4 at some later date. I'm sure you love using your former parts store all the time for this, but
Trust me, it'd be great if I had a nice building like Frank's got.
yeah,
You know, it's fine either way.
but
Yeah.
And down the road,
and that's what we're shooting toward. Is the need is probably a little greater where she's at the
Yeah.
moment, but whatever we design for her will ultimately be used as the same copy footprint for what deal. We'd like to go to the county annex idea. So it's worked out so well at Huron. You've got your JP, you've got your constable, you've got a commissioner, you've got Parks and Wildlife, you got Sheriff Department, you got room for DPS, we got expansion for the tax office should they want to. We have room for community voting, room for community meetings. It's just an outpost where everything's there. We get away from how we've had to do business for years. And before you, Judge, it was Martis. We paid him for years to use a body shop,
Yeah.
That's how things were. We didn't have the resources. But as we get more resources, we're trying to modernize the way we do things. So it's still on our books. We had actually issued a request for qualifications and then we have rescinded that. But the goal is first to do a plan. So what we need to look at before we ever talk about construction is what are we going to do? You guys remember we're talking about down at Hall Street. We know for a fact we need to do something about Sheriff's Office administrative space. They're just sardines in there and we've got to deal with that. The other thing is that CSCD, Community Supervision Community Service Division, is over here at Covington, and that's no longer a good fit for that building. We're going to probably go down to the Hall Street Annex, the campus down there, I should say. There's about 26 acres surrounding the jail. We would look at building a master plan for that campus and then putting the said building over there. At the same time we do that, we're going to be looking at the Penelope campus and what do we need to obtain in the way of land? How many acres do we need? Because we haven't figured that out yet. And then what does this building need to look like to service that community for 15 years at a minimum? And it needs to be modular in some fashion so that we could add on to it if we ever needed to, because county's going to grow whether we like it or not. But yeah, that's still on a push. I would not expect construction in this next fiscal year. I've been wrong about things before, but I'm thinking early FY26 is when we'll probably get towards
So
that.
just an update, Mr. James Moss, he came in and fixed everything.
Oh, wow.
So we are satisfied with how everything's working. If y'all get a chance, stop by and see it. It's
James is a great guy.
unrecognizable in there. So we are doing great with what we have. So.
James is a great guy and he didn't ask for any additional rent after he did
No,
that.
no. Well, I haven't seen him in the past week, but.
Dylan, too late, budget time is over.
It may be coming.
Yeah.
But really, it's seriously, when you walk in, it looks like you're in an official place. So when you agree.
It doesn't look like 1969.
No, it's very.
So, and we, our courtroom is a little makeshifty, but that's okay. I mean, it works for what we need it to do, so.
For now, but I think with the growth that's coming, and we're seeing it already, I know some people deny it's not, you can't deny facts, it's growing. We're still on the books though to do what we told you we want to do out of Penelope, and that's to try to expand it. And then whatever footprint we come up for that, we plan on using that same footprint, maybe slight modifications for precinct 4. Precinct 4, there's some other hurdles there that we're going to cover at that time, but that is the game plan at this moment. So.
Sounds good.
Schools are getting nailed with all the problems with the schools as far as getting a lot of them pretty well. they're not gonna be able to just let people roll in to vote.
Oh, yeah, it's already become an issue for us. I see what you mean. Yeah, voting centers throughout the county, and the precincts are going to be helpful because you're exactly right. We used to use some schools as, voting areas, and it's just not feasible anymore, the way the law has changed. I understand, we need to protect students at all costs. It's just made it, there's some parts of the county, there's not a big enough building to put a precinct in, that's always been an issue. That North Whitney, oh man, we've tried so hard over there over the years trying to find different places to vote. But yeah, we just have to start moving in that direction, slowly, methodically, and efficiently. Judge Jones, what's happening in Itasca?
Oh, everything's about as good as it can be, I guess.
There you go.
Yeah, as far as my budget, I'm, good with what I had last year. The only thing I can see on the horizon after first year, I've been locked in on a good rate on my electricity bill. And that has been for 3 years, so that's gonna change, so I'm probably
Okay.
gonna need a little extra there, but other than that, everything's good.
Okay, well, this year we bumped it up to 2,500. Last year was 1,725, and we put 2,500 in there. I hope it's not going to be that much, but we're taking a stab at it.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
I'm just guessing, because I have no idea what the rates are gonna be.
Yeah.
When the time comes, I think it'll be like in March.
Okay, okay.
So
So hopefully that's going
hopefully, yeah,
to let us know if it doesn't.
we'll make it work somehow or another.
Good deal. Appreciate that.
That's all I got.
Oh, thank you, Judge. Any questions for the judge? Nope. All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've got a few minutes. I'm going to have to break here again at 5 minutes before 11, but in that time period, we have, no, Mr. Pratt and Mr. Harris have court this morning, so they'll be here as soon as they can get here. And mark off who all we've got. Let's follow up on a couple of things I need to tell you guys about. Number one, let's go to the 1103 fund. That's the non-departmental fund. And you're going to find 1103 is going to be on your page 31. Yeah, 30. Starts at page 30 and 31. So the non-departmental covers a lot of different things. We're going to start on page 30 in the far right column of proposed. We have overtime contingencies. This year we had $300,000 in overtime contingencies. It shows no actual to date. That's not accurate. The sheriff's office has spent more than that without ever coming back to the commissioner's court and asking for a budget amendment. But every other office in the county did a better job. I propose that after October 1st, I'm just going to refuse to vote for anything that violates their budget. I don't care what lawsuit it brings to us. The sheriff can deal with it. This is ridiculous. We brought in $775,000 in new revenue this year. 733 of it went to the sheriff's office to fix these messes. I'm tired of the rest of us having to live on the scraps that are left over from bad decisions. So I'm going to take some tough lines, guys, and some tough lines. It means it's going to probably bring you some trouble. I can't allow this to happen to the taxpayer any longer. It needs to be dealt with. So if that's the way we're going to deal with it, I'm going to do it publicly. And I hate to do that, but it's the only way to get it done. That's how we're going to do it. So first is we won't need 300,000 overtime contingencies next year. I've dropped that to 250. Number two is telemedicine. That is the same amount we paid last year. We need to check on that price, that 28,215. I don't have, it may go up a couple of bucks. I plead with you to keep that product in. It is the reason that we are where we're today on getting such great rates on our insurance. People are not taking their kids to the emergency room for a runny nose, a sniffle, things like that anymore. It's going to this telemedicine, and that reduces those claims on our insurance. It makes us look so much better. And then we can do things like we did this year and save, $700,000 on insurance over 2 years. That's kind of stuff has been well. It also, in the humanitarian side of things, adds a benefit for a lot of our part-time employees. They and their household can call this line and take care of a lot of things. No extra charge to them, no extra charge to us. So I've advocated for that again. You'll see purchase professional service went up this year. The 90,000 we had in there is for the auditor. I put an additional 40,000 in that line. So every year we're required to have an outside audit. Our county auditor audits us, and the outside audits her and us. So what the other thing is for there is not an increase so much as the outside audit, which will be slightly more, but for the payroll study. I've told you guys I was going to do it again this year, and we're going to do it. So we've allocated funding for it. I don't know what it's going to cost. I do know that I have no interest in using Evergreen, but we put some money aside to deal with that. Next, you jump into the operating expenses. Again, you've got a statement of facts. We have 12,000. I don't know what all's in that line, that 19,035 year to date. We're going to have to go back and look at that and check that to see if that 12,000 is still realistic. Statement of facts has never been that high. Susan, you want to answer for the good judge?
We have numerous appeals cases, and that is driving that cost up.
Okay, so statement of facts.
2,000 a pop.
So we have to pay the court reporters and then we have to pay them to get the stuff they did for us. So when we file appeals, we have to pay for indigent people. We have to pay for the court reporters' records. And so it's just the way the system works. You cannot agree with it because I don't, but that's the way things are. No, sir, they're the transcript of the actual proceedings. Yeah, so we're paying the court reporter in addition to her salary to provide us the transcripts. She got paid. So if that's going to be a continuation, let's look at that number again and see if that needs to be bumped up. I know that Marshall let us know that there's been a huge increase in, I say huge, there's been an increase in the number of indigent people appealing their cases. We'll have to go back and look at that. Number 2103, that line never disappears. Why does that line never disappear? Because we've never had any money in it. We've never budgeted anything. That's for legislative and administrative activities, because there's a senator who used to be a representative out of Houston that believes all the counties are using public money to lobby with to try to keep them from doing dumb things that they don't understand. And we are required to put that in there because they passed a law. So that gets to stay in. We've never allocated money to public lobbying. We're not going to allocate money for public lobbying while I'm here. And we've done no administrative activities. Again, it just is required by law to be in the budget. So there it is.
He was raised
Was he?
in the court.
No, Middleton.
Oh, I thought you meant.
Oh, you're talking about the big the former tax assessor collector down in Harris County, the coffee drinker? Bettencourt was raised here?
His dad was,
I didn't know that.
what was he? He was something in the city manager, maybe?
Ah, okay. So there's nothing there. Grant expenditures. You'll go, well, Justin, we had money last year, but nothing budgeted. We don't budget grant expenditures ahead of time. We know we're probably going to get some. We don't know how much. So those grant expenditures, that line just stays there at zero. You will see actual numbers in there. And then, of course, that FY24 adopted, we'll see FY actual 24 actual next budget year or at the end here in a little while. Anyway, so we've got that. We do have one grant that we expect $7,100 out of. So I'm sorry, there's nothing out of it. We do have a grant that we're getting money out of for VOCA, but we're accounting for that in a different place than we are here, I think.
The victim of crime.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
So
I think we would want it to be the same as the revenue. It's, we have a pass-through grant on that savings fund where we
yes,
get paid 4,000 something and they reimburse us the 4,000 something. So I think in revenue we had 18,000.
what was the line we put out in revenue on that one? Do you remember? 303. So we need to account for it where then?
And in expenditures, we have 18,000.
Yes, ma'am, I see.
14, so then expenditures, the 2104 line item, we would need 18,000.
So you do want to put it then in 1103, 2104.
Yes,
Okay,
just the same as the revenue, but that's.
Okay, forgive me. I misunderstood our previous conversation. Okay, so we've got 18,000 we'll put into the 1103, 2104 grant expenditures. Dues and memberships, there are several organizations the county's a member of, so that's where that comes out of. NACO, which provides really good information to us. We don't attend the meetings because they're all over the United States, but they were really, really helpful during the ARPA grant funds. So we've kept those dues up. No training, mileage, and reimbursement because we have no employee out of there. Bonds and insurance, obviously there's quite a bit of insurance is allocated to courthouses, things like that, other things that go to their own budgets. There's some things that are not allocated to their own budgets, and this is where they get paid from. Legal notices, that's we got to put legal notices in the paper all the time. 4,500 is where we're at right now. Usually that's good. You'll look back at 23 and go, well, Justin, we put 7,100. That was an unusual year for us. That was just weird. We'll go back before this thing is finalized and we'll look at what our year-to-date numbers are on the legal notices. And if we need to move it up 100 or so, we'll let you know and we'll do that. But right now we feel that's good. Bank service charges, we've left at 6,000, same as last year. When interest goes up, charges go down. When interest goes down, charges go up. The moral of the story is the bank's going to make their money no matter what you do. So I know, oh, I find the banker. That's too bad. So to all my banker friends out there, no offense. Anyway, long and the short of things, we're leaving it last year because rates are right now holding steady. there's, rumors of a drop in rates. We really don't know what they're gonna do, so. I think we should be good at that amount. You look at our year to date, on 5/31, we spent $877 out of a $6,000 budget. I think leaving it at 6, we're plenty fine. Yes. Exactly right. The last treasurer did not have that outlook on things, unfortunately, sometimes. And so Rachel has really cut the late fees that she was getting to 0. So it's good. I'm just throwing everybody under the bus today. I woke up feeling bad. I'm have to be here. You're just going to suffer. All right. Are we on the same page?
Yes.
Good to hear. All right. All right.
Let's see.
Yeah. If you get mad at me, I'll leave and y'all can do this. Machine equipment and rental is 7,500. Again, we have, copiers, machine equipment rental. For us, for the general fund guys, that's language for copiers and postage machines. And we do have a postage machine. Miscellaneous, why do we have 20,000 when judge only allows us 500 and our budgets are 1,000? Bigger you are, the bigger the number gets. And, the miscellaneous is there, unfortunately. I wish we could tell you to put it somewhere else, but we have to have it. Most years we wind up digging into that to some degree. It's not how I like to do things, but it's the nature of something comes up in the beginning of the year we just could not foresee in our crystal ball at this very moment. So capital outlay, you'll notice I cut that from $1 million to 500,000. Well, why did you cut it? Number one, try to bring the budget back in line. But number two, and more importantly, because we did 2 of the big projects we planned to do last year are done. First is the foundation on the cell block museum. More about that a little bit when we get to facilities. And number 2, the roof on the support services building. Those were 2 huge ones. I can report to you now when that roof is done, all of our roofs are in good shape with the exception of Huron. Not your office, but the other building. And we're looking at options for that. I don't have any numbers, but I don't think it's going to be that bad. Did you go out there to the industrial park and see what they did to the old carpet factory, how they overlaid that roof? So they basically took the existing metal roof and they put a insulation and one of these plastic roofs over it. It looks good. And apparently it's real weather tight. So we're looking at that. Obviously it's not going to be near that big, but that may be something we need to do next year. I have 500,000 in this. The other thing is to acquire property we've spoken about previously. That's in this budget. And then there's a little wiggle room for other things that are going to come up. I'm going to have to put an awning. I believe we need to put an awning in 2 places. We may get it done this year. It may happen next year, depending on timing. One is on the back door of the Covington Street Annex. And what I've asked for is more than just an awning. That whole building back there, I want to reutilize that little building on the back of Covington Street. Reskin it, insulate it, and put an awning over the door to the annex because the water keeps coming in the way it's designed. They designed it poorly. And then there's an awning on this north side of that little annex that the adult supervision people go out and they sit in nice weather and they have their lunches out there. So I'm proposing we keep that and just reskin it as well to reseal everything and make sure everything matches. I've got bid on that and I've got a second person I'm going to ask for a bid this week. I'll let you guys know how that comes up. The other awning is over at the front of Huron. I know that door is slightly recessed, but we've had some issue with these driving rains and water getting there. Nobody anticipated the rains we've had this last year, but now that we know it exists, I think we got to do something about it. So I'm going to just look at prices and come back to you guys before I do anything and what it might cost to put an awning over the front of that to keep some of that water out from underneath that.
Yes,
It comes and goes. So what we'll have is we'll have a leak, we'll go up and fix it, everything will be good. Next rain, we'll find another leak, we'll go up and fix it. Next rain, nothing, everything's good. Next rain, another leak. We keep having that stuff. The majority of the leaks are not on the big part of the building. They're actually on the shorter part that's up front. That's the issue right now. So I would be looking at recovering that first and see if that solves things, because that's the insulated, that's the office, that's everything. That back part is just a big open floor. If we get a couple of drips occasionally, it doesn't hurt my feelings. It's just that front part. The other problem we got is we have put a metric ton probably of roof sealant on that flashing that connects the taller part to the shorter front part. And I still think it leaks. I know that we've done a lot. So that'll be part of that as well, trying to seal that up, make sure we've got that under control. Just trying to preserve what we put money into. So that's the reason it's 500,000. It's got enough to cover the projects I anticipate, plus a little extra for things that come up that we don't know about. Then you go down to JPO Insurance and Utilities. Guys, right now it's the same as last year. Know that as we go into this budget time, we're going to look at that closer and probably get you a little more accurate number. That 10,120 is our estimate. Now, we're not projected to go over that this year, but we may move it down a couple hundred, may move it up just to come in line what's actually we think it's going to cost. Adult probation, again, we have some costs there, 5,500, and that's their utilities, I believe. So we're allocating that amount. We're probably going to overspend that this year. That's on us because all the construction next door caused them to have to run their air conditioners more, things like that. So don't get mad at Greg Mason Company down there. That's our construction project next door did that. Yes, ma'am.
It's not actually their utilities.
Oh, it's not. Forgive me.
For some reason, we provide them 2 copiers. It's something.
Oh, thank you.
It's their 2, they have 2 copiers that are just the same.
Okay, well, I looked at your utility line and I thought this was it. So, but yeah, good deal. All right, so there's copiers. Appraisals. You'll notice a pretty big jump in that, $55,000. That appraisal number is the share of the general fund that we got off of the budget approved by the appraisal district. They went up significantly in their budget, another $1 million or so this year, and we get to carry the majority of that. Appraisal district goes up every year and it's just expensive. You look at this, they've gone up, what, 106,000 in 2 years. That's just the share of the general fund. You'll see more of that in the road bridge fund. So going on annual leave contingency, I don't have anything there. And then we have other contingencies. We have not had anything in annual leave in a couple of years. And then we have other contingencies. That is the big maybe fund. So what is that fund? That's going to fund the annual leave problem. We got single offices that, like the good judge there, if we didn't do anything for him, we had to fund a part-time, that's where we would fund that out of. If we had, I'm trying to think of the single people offices, there's not many left. There's me and a couple of JPs. That would be where we would pick up that from. We've also used that at the end of the year for people that have gone over their budget for certain purposes. We don't just blanket allow anybody to do that. But if they've gone over their budget because of unforeseen circumstances, we didn't use this money for him, but a good example, those bridges that got condemned that after the budget year started that you had no choice but to replace, that's the same kind of idea. Somebody got some mandate that after the budget said, we didn't know about, that's where the money would come to take care of that, to balance things out. Jury, I put another $100,000 in jury fund. Why did we put another $100,000 in jury? Jury eats money. Like I got an old truck that eats batteries. It's a cost that goes up and up and up. The judges pay the lawyers. They're not answerable to us. I appreciate both the judges and all they do. It's just an expensive proposition when they're, you got to pay these lawyers. And guess what? They don't want to do it either, but you have all these people that are indigent that come up. They meet the rules the state of Texas sets and the judges' hands are tied. So they've got no choice. They have to appoint lawyers. Not only do we appoint lawyers in criminal matters, but anytime you have a child support matter, I've been in this courtroom where I've seen 5 children just representing kids that we appointed, one representing the mother and another attorney representing the father, both the fathers, one of the fathers, because one was in prison or 2 in prison. We have to appoint attorneys on all that stuff. And so that's expensive. The other thing in there is on me. I have a guardianship court. I have a probate court. You would never appoint, I can't think of circumstance in probate where you would appoint a court appointed attorney. However, in guardianship, under 1104 of the code, there is a letter of suggestion needed. I've got one sitting on my desk now. Somebody finds somebody in our community that can no longer take care of themselves and they have nobody to take care for them. I have to appoint an ad litem, guardian ad litem, investigator. Once I appoint that guardian ad litem, then I have to appoint an attorney ad litem. That ad litem is the proposed incapacitated person's legal counsel. That's the person that defends them. So, those things they add up quick because you have to protect people's civil rights. But at the same time, there's a need in our community. That's how we get things done. Every year it goes up and it ate another $100,000 this year. I hope that some of that money is going to roll over into next year. But if you could look back at page 9 of the recapitulation, I didn't provide any historical on the recapitulation. We normally don't, but we're thinking we're going to end the year with $3,800. So it's not like there's going to be a big rollover. Last year was about the same. We've transferred money into that fund every year I've been here, with the exception of 1 year, and we wound up transferring twice as much the next year, and we didn't do it. So there's that. Last but not least, if you've got the 9275 fund, which is transferred to county juvenile probation. We went up 2 years ago, 24, we went up to 238.5. Let me tell you how much money that saved us by doing that. The majority of that's just for the operations of JPs. I'm sorry, I want to use old acronyms that are no longer accurate. So juvenile probation, let's call it that. The rest of that, majority of that, there's 100,000 or so that is there. It's less than that for those 2 beds we got in Denton. We have done outstanding. Those beds, having them, we can call them 24-day and we don't have to worry about, can we find them? Because often we can't find a bed. We have some bad actors, and sometimes those bad actors, we got to turn them back to their parents with things that aren't good. So we've used those beds extensively. Better part of this deal is anytime we've not used them, they have not charged us, because originally they're going to charge us every day like I had somebody in there no matter what. That's not how they did it. They're just charging us for the days we actually use, but they still hold those 2 beds open for us. It has been a godsend. So they will get some of that money back at the end of this year. One of the reasons they're not asking for additional money, we have a higher caseload. I got told Monday, last week, last Friday, I think was our juvenile board meeting, or Monday. Ooh, days are running together now. I think it's Monday. It was Monday. So anyway, we had a pretty good meeting on juvenile board Monday. There's no additional funding request on that that I'm aware of at this point, according to Tina. So we're good, and that's my recommendation. So that is the 1103 fund. Any information regarding it? Yep. All right. So at this time, I've got to take a short break and go do a probate. I will be back, and after that, we will wrap up a couple more things for this morning. Now we are reset until about 11:05.
11 o'clock, 11:02.